Blast me to Calmer's skull. It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. Issue 77, Part 2. Battle Report. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. So here we are with issue 77 and it's time for the battle report of the issue, and it's going to be a biggie. So before we get into anything, don't forget to of course give this video a little like, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tickle that little bell icon so you can keep up to date with all my mad content. And of course don't forget to check out all the links in the description down below, including the Mad Merlins Patreon, which has had a few more tiers added to it, mainly focusing on the TT fans, but there will be some Warhammer ones coming very shortly. Okay then, right, let's dive into what's remaining of issue 77, and there's not a lot remaining, it is just the mission briefing. So here we have then our final mission for issue, mission for issue 77, and it is the Breach to Bastion mission. So the Imperial forces are now focusing on breaching into the Necron complex on Calmer's skull. The Necrons are forcing themselves to defend all the entrances into their central tomb complex, while the Imperium are pushing in harder than ever. So we have a veteran 75 power mission here. As you can see, we use all four maps. We have rather large deployment zones, so it's roughly halfway across the battlefield, with a pretty much split into thirds, I would have said, a little under third. So we got a 24-inch bubble here in the center, which is the entrance to the tomb. So what I'm going to be doing is leaving this pretty vacant. We are using 8 objective markers, and they have supplied us with an extra 4 here. So in future missions, we may be using up to 10 objectives. But we have spares, and I've already cut out a couple, an extra set of these, as I've had this issue 3 times. So I've got them ready to go. So for this mission, we have the tomb entrance. So units within the tomb entrance, we automatically, regardless of whether let's get this right. So we control objectives regardless of whether we have models in them or not, providing we control them at the end of our command phase. Unless, of course, the opponent is in range to take control of it. For this mission, Imperium is player B, Necrons will be player A. So we have Domination, which is our progressive mission point. So 5 victory points for a total of 15. So 2 or more markers, 3 or more markers, and more than the opponent. So we each have pretty much 3 in our deployment zone, plus 2 more out in the center there. So we're always going to have the control of these ones, providing we deploy models within them. Which I'll probably keep a couple small units back just to hold them, and then we'll start focusing more on the center of the battlefield. So secondary objectives, player B, when they are selecting their secondary objectives, must take search for the portal below. So a single infantry unit in the Imperium's army can search for the entrance, and once it's done, at the end of the next command phase, we score a set of victory points equal to the number of objective markers we currently control, to a maximum of 5 victory points. So 1 point for each objective marker we control. Much like the primary objective, we can't score this in our first battle round, so no setting up a unit right in the tomb entrance there, and then kicking it off first turn. So yeah, you must be inside that 24-inch bubble in order to do the search. And like I said, you score it 5 points for focusing on all the other objectives that you control. So You're always going to keep these 3 unless an opponent drops in a unit in behind and takes it from you. But it's mainly going to be a fight over these central 4, I'd have said, more than anything. So, we'll see how we go. So, that's it for our mission. Next up, we'll take a look at the armies I'm going to be using, but before that, we'll take a look at the final few issues. So, 78 is the final part of our command barge, and we'll get to finally field it in battle as well, as we have its rules and complete paint guide. And then 79 and 80 is Rabute Gilliman. I have filmed the issue for it. I just have to edit it together to add in the overview of the frame, hopefully. That was in the previous recording. That didn't record sound. So that will be up shortly, though. I want to try and get all the issue coverage out as quickly as I can. Then I can focus on building and painting, ready to play through the campaign for you all. So here we go then. Let's take a look at the Imperium army first. And it's 75 power of pretty much just Space Marines and Battle Sisters. Here we have my 75 power Imperium detachment, and it is a pretty good collection, I think. So we have the Warlord here, Marneus Calgar. With him is his lieutenant, a Canoness, and I've took Greyfax for a change as well. For my troop selections, I've got 2 squads of 5 assault intercessors, each of a sergeant, 1 with a plasma pistol power sword, 1 with just heavy bolt pistol. I've also got 5 infiltrators and a squad of 10 battle sisters. For my fast attack units, we've got the Invader ATV, the Seraphim, and the Outriders there. For elite units, we've got the Arco-Flagellants, Repentia, and the Repentia Mistress. Finally, for a couple of heavy units, we've got the Firestrike Servo Turret and the Penitent Engine there, which I still need to paint the braziers of. So, as I'm going to be mainly controlling the 2 home objectives, I might sit some small sacrificial units back on that. Probably put the Firestrike turret on one of them, just to make sure my opponent can't come in and take him from me. But I'm going to be making sure I push everything forward as best I can to get into that central area and start doing the action as early as possible. I'll probably put these guys in concealed positions as close to the portal as possible, and then try to keep them alive for at least 1 turn. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. It's going to be a pretty close fought game. I think it's going to be very interesting. But I've got some nice units, plenty of small squads that will help take objectives and also cause my opponent some needing importance to spread their forces out a bit more and yeah, put focus all over the place really, rather than being able to focus down on just one particular area. So yeah, going to be a fun little mission. Can't wait to play it. So let's take a look then at my Necron force. So here we have my 75 power of Necrons, and leading the force, of course, is my Overlord. His Warlord trait is Implacable Conqueror, so that's re-rolling charge rolls, and he'll be bodyguarded by his Lich Guard. I've took a full 3 Mancers, so the Plasmancer, just basic. I've got the Chronomancer with his Photonic Transsubjector to make him a little more endurable. And the Technomancer here has the Failsafe Overcharge. I'm going to give that another try, as he'll be leading the Canoptek division of this force. For my troops, it's 2 squads of 10 warriors and 1 squad of 5 immortals, as I need 3. My elite units, as I've mentioned, I have the Lich Guard, the Death Marks here. I've also got the Flayed ones, a Canoptek Spider, and the Triarch Stalker there. I'm going to be running him with the Gauze Blaster just to see how it works. Then I might give me the push to actually paint my second one. No, probably won't paint it up as well as that one though, I don't think. Then finishing off things with a couple of trio of fast attacks, we've got the Tomb Blades, the Wraiths, and a squad of 6 Scarab Swarms. So yeah, focus for this army is to Probably put the Immortals and a squad of warriors, or maybe even the Tomb Blades just at the back, just to keep the home objective safe from any Imperium interceptors. So pretty much a similar tactic to the Imperium. But I'm going to be leading a construct division with the Chronomancer there. Not Chronomancer, Technomancer, the Spider, the Wraiths, and the Scarabs are going to be flying up one flank. Warriors will be advancing alongside the Immortals and the Overlord into the centre, with the Lich Guard bringing up the rear, and the Triarch Stalker as well. Flayed Ones and the Death Marks will be transdimensional location, hoping to come in late game and harass the opponent's deployment zone, denying them a few objectives. Might even bring them in early game as well, just to see if I can steal some points back early on. But yeah, pretty much gun down or slash down as much of the Imperium force as I can, whilst keeping the gate hidden. So that's my two armies. Now let's go set up the battlefield and we'll get into our game, so I will see you shortly. Okay, here we are all deployed and ready to begin Veteran Mission 18 from issue 77 of Imperium. So we've gone for pretty spread out deployment, but I've got units in place to capture the objectives, and then we can move off after that. So we'll go over deployment, then we'll have our dramatic reading, and then we'll go through the pre-game stuff ready for turn 1. So let's start with the Imperium then. Right at the top there, we've got 5 infiltrators hiding behind a crate there, ready to jump on objective 1. Calgar and 5 assault intercessors over there. Pentine engineer, Canoness and the Battle Sisters up at the back on objective 7. Fire strike turret on objective 4. Outriders next door to it. Arco flagellants behind the pipes. Outrider, Invader ATV. 5 more assault intercessors and the lieutenant. And then finally at the back, Repentia, the Mistress, and Greyfax on objective 8. For the Necrons, behind the reactor there is 5 Immortals on objective 5. Then we got the Chronomancer, Tomb Blades, 10 Warriors, Plasmancer, Triarch Stalker, Overlord, Lich Guard, 10 more Warriors, 3 Wraiths, Chronomancer, Technomancer, Spider, and the Scarabs on objective 6 there. So like I said, we've got to try and score as many points as we can, and within this 12-inch bubble we can do the special mission action. So the only things I've put into reserve for the Imperium are the Seraphim. Necrons have got the Flayed Ones and the Death Marks ready to come in later game. So let's go into our dramatic reading. So, Veteran Mission 18. Breach the Bastion. Imperial forces have managed to forge a small breach in the final line of Necron defences and reach the foothills of the mountains that conceal the Xenos' subterranean layers. A reconnaissance force must now find an entrance to the nerve centre of the Necron tomb complex, and from there find a route to the Dolmen Gate. The Necrons have mustered a formidable force to counter the Imperial assault. Defend the entrances. Despite the best efforts of the Necron cryptek engineers, the decrepit remnants of Kalmar's Skull's long-dead tomb complexes are littered with breaches. The breaches closest to the Dolmen Gate must be held if it is to be protected. The Imperium must not be allowed to enter the central tomb. The final stretch. The Imperium's forces continue to press the Necrons back towards their fortress. The Dolmen Gate's energy signature can be pinpointed. All that remains is to breach the facility and destroy the gate. This task will not be easy. However, for the Necrons have stationed their most elite troops nearby. Here we are at the dashboard, ready to roll off for first turn. So let's see who gets what. Ooh, Necrons win for 4. You know what? I think we'll let the Imperium go first so that they can come towards us and we can get some shots off early. So with that in mind, it's time to go to Imperium turn 1. So we're in Devastator Doctrine, we have Divine Guidance, and the Necrons are going for Protocol of Sudden Storm. So some extra movement just to help get in closer to those Imperium's lapdogs, ready to wipe them off the board. So we get in command point, and we'll go into Imperium turn 1. End of the Imperium movement phase, and I've been pretty cautious. Moved the Assault Intercessors here and over there into the buildings, characters following up behind. The Invader has just snuck around the corner of the building so he can get a line of sight to some of those Necron units. Outriders have remained stationary, as has the Firestrike turret, and so has the Battle Sisters, Penting Engine, and the Infiltrators. Greyfax, the Repentia, and the Mistress all ran up. Mistress sadly only got a 1, so she wasn't able to keep as close to her charges as she wanted to. Could have done with a command reroll, I suppose. Moving on then, we'll do our shooting phase. Won't be too many units, just the Firestrike and the Invader. Well, our shooting phase wasn't very productive. We scored a single wound against the Triarch Stalker, which saved from the Firestrike turret. And the Invader was a little out of range to get anything. I misremembered its range. It's 24, not 36. So yeah, he was a little out of range to actually shoot anything. So with that, it's time for Necrons turn 1. So before we get too far into Necron turn 1, I forgot that I was in Devastator Doctrine, so I was an extra AP, meaning the past save is actually a fail, but there's only a single wound, so he has recovered it thanks to living metal. Oh, 2 damage, so he still has 1 wound. Man, I really need to remember my rules properly. It's one of them days, I think. Right, so yeah, rest of the Necron turn, everything has pretty much moved up, making use of the extra 1 inch from Sudden Storm. Oh, I haven't moved the Overlord and his units, I'll do that in a minute. See, I am not having a very good day today. But everything is moving up, ready to get into position to charge in to the Space Marines side of things early on. But yeah, so moving on to Necron shooting phase, ready then. Right, end of Necron shooting, and the Tomb Blades took out a single Infiltrator over there. The Triarch Stalker took out the entirety of the Firestrike servo turret, even with the extra 1 wound dealt to it beforehand with the 5 warriors at the front there. So yeah, 3d3 getting me 5 wounds. Poor little guy, he didn't stand a chance. Then pretty much down here, all what was done was 1 damage on a single Marine, which was by the Spider. So with that, it's time to go to the charge phase, and I think we'll get the Wraiths into the Space Marines and do some choppy slash. With that failed charge, it is now on to turn 2. So we can start scoring points now. For the Space Marines, we are going into Tactical Doctrine. And the Necrons are going to Vengeful Stars with an extra AP on 6s for ranged attacks. So Space Marines getting a command point, and I've forgotten Miracle Dice. So 2 Miracle Dice, both 2s. So yeah, here we go then with the Space Marine turn 2. Okay, end of Imperium movement phase 2, and I've moved up quite a lot of forces here. So everything has only normal moved, to the exception of the Repentia Mistress there, who ran in order to catch up to her charges, ready for next turn. The Assault Intercessors and Lieutenant moved out of the building onto Objective 2. The Invader just repositioned to take a beeline at those Necron warriors there. Calgar and his Assault Intercessors came out of the building ready to dive into the 12-inch area. I'll just double check the range. They might be in the range to actually do it. I think it's wholly within. Yeah, wholly within. So if they're not fully in the 12-inch in the centre, then they won't be able to do the action, but they'll be able to get there for the next turn. The Infiltrators have also moved out to fight over Objective 1 there, and I've even brought the Seraphim in down here using Deadly Ascent, putting 3 wounds onto a single base of Scarabs. Should have overcharged that plasma, I would have killed off a base. But time for Greyfax to do some psychic shenanigans, and also doing some shooting phase. Okay, end of the Imperium shooting phase, and things have gone a little better. So, with the Onslaught Gatling Cannon on the back of the Invader, I managed to kill 4 Necron Warriors down here, and the Assault Carbines at the front took down another 1, but he reanimated. The Carbines from the Infiltrators over there took out a single Tombblade. Calgar and the Assault Intercessors tried their best, but failed. Calgar got 2 wounds through, and saving them 1 at a time because it is a 5-up save. I got 2 6s, so no worries there. I was able to shrug off these 2 damaged Stormbolters. And yeah, we've also Neo-Volkited the Wraiths here, doing a mortal wound only. He managed to save the wound that he took. And the Seraphim shot at the Scarabs, killing off that base that they previously wounded. They didn't do too well on the second round of shooting with the bolt pistols. But moving on then, it's time for a bit of a chargey phase. So let's see how well the Imperium managed to damage off the Necrons in their fight phase. Okay, end of the fight phase, and things went pretty well. Calgar and the Infiltrators over there wiped out the Tombblades. The remaining Tombblade with 5-up invuln managed to survive 2 of Calgar's attacks, but the remaining 3 would totally killed it. The Wraiths did pretty well. The Archifragments charged in and did Extremist Trigger Word, killing 2, but 1 reanimated. Then the Assault, then Wraiths interrupted, managed to deal 1 damage back to a Archiflagellant and nothing to the Assault Intercessors. But sadly, the Lieutenant, due to the dead Wraith, was no longer in range to pile in a fight. He's a little bit too far out for the full 3-inch pile in. So he's got in as close as he can, and he'll fight next time. He was there mainly to support anyway, so it weren't too bad. So, with that, it's moving on to the Necrons, turn 2. As the sun's moving out of optimum position, I'm going to have to start using my light now for the turn by turn. So, movement phase for the Necrons then. The Overlord and his bodyguard have advanced towards Calgar, and the 2 Mancers and the warriors over there remain still. The Immortals climbed up onto the top level there, ready to gun down whatever they can reach. The Triarch Stalker is moving menacingly towards the Outriders, but I think he's going to be more concerned with the Pension Engine. It's the only thing that's the most deadly thing to it at the moment over this side. Warriors here advance to get as close as they can to the Invader. Technomancer put the overcharge onto the Spider, getting 2 extra attacks from its D3. Scarabs were restored thanks to the Spider and went backwards. And because I don't think he's going to be charging this turn, the My Will Be Done will be going on the Warriors over there, as did Chronometron. So with that out of the way, let's move to the Necron shooting phase. Necron's shooting phase is done, and things went pretty well. So the Triarch Stalker blew away the Pension Engine there. The Reaper Warriors here managed to do 2 wounds to the Invader. The Spider and the Technomancer there combined fought fire into the Archiflagellants, wiping them out. The Immortals shot at the Infiltrators but got nothing. Harbinger of Destruction went on them as well in the end of the movement phase, killing 1. And then 10 warriors shooting their Gauss blasters with Relentless Onslaught, scoring 17 hits, and the 3 misses were factored out. With the Relentless Onslaught, I got 3 sixes, scoring them 3 extra hits. So 20 hits, and I ended up getting not as many wounds as I wanted to, but enough to whittle down to just the Helix edit. So Calgar is now a valid target for the next round of shooting, but I have to wait for, well, the melee phase, because we're going to have a few fights. Scarab's going to go into the Repentia. Might try the Triarch Stalker into the Invader, and the Spider's going to go into the Assault Intercessors here. End of Necron turn 2, and what a turn 2. So the Spider killed 3 Assault Intercessors. Ouch. The Wraith, before he died, managed to do 2 wounds against the Lieutenant. The poor Seraphim Superior is all that's left of her squad after the Scarabs charged in and went mad. And the Invader is actually still surviving with 3 wounds remaining. But it's not looking good. It is the Imperium's turn next, so hopefully they can survive a little longer and score some extra victory points. So here we go with Imperium turn 3. So Miracle Dice for the turn, before I forget, is a 6. I used the 2 to help get a past morale test on the Battle Sister in combat there, and all the other tests were passed. So Imperium will gain a command point. We go to turn 3, and we score 1, 2. So just the 2 points at the moment, looks like it. Would have been more if the Seraphim hadn't been charged by Scarabs. So that's another 5, pushing us up to 10 at least. End of the Imperium movement phase for turn 3. So Outriders have dived into the tomb entrance and have started the action. The Assault Intercessors move round to help bodyguard Calgar, and they're sitting ready for the advancing Necrons. They don't want to get too close, because a wrongly put charge could put the Overlord into range to be pulled into combat. I don't want that to happen. The mistress here drove her charges onwards, and they moved up. Actually, that's a point. They can advance and still perform a charge, can't they? Yes. So let's see if they can get a little bit further forward. Ooh, they can with a 6. So yeah, I'm going to make them get as close to the spider as possible. And she will advance. So an extra 3. Not enough to keep her in range for the... Although hopefully I can charge of her as well. So yeah, there we go. That's it for the movement phase. On to shooting phase. Oh yeah, and movement phase, I fell back and dropped the command point for hit and run with this. So I'm going to open up at the Triumph Stalker. So time for some Imperium shooting. End of the Imperium shooting phase, and combined fire from Calgar, the Infiltrator, and the Intercessors have killed 3 warriors. The Invader put 3 extra wounds onto the Triarch, putting him up to 5. Maybe I was right the first time, 2, 3 up to 5. He had 3 wounds go through, he's passed 1, failed the other 2. So yeah, did a single wound from Plasma Pistol from the Sergeant here, and nothing over here. So with that, it's on to the charge phase. So we're going to get these in, her in. Those guys are actually going to try and charge the warriors over there, because they don't have much chance against them. So here we go. End of Imperium turn 3, and, well, first off, the poor Seraphim has perished. The Repentia chopped up the spider, the Lieutenant finished off the Technomancer, and the warriors actually managed to kill one of the 2 assault intercessors as they charged in. So they need to do a morale test. Ouch. I'll command reroll that 6 into a 2, that's better. And do I get that point back for Calgar? I do. So that's my 1 reclaimer turn. So yeah, the Outriders are still alive, but I think the Overlord might actually turn his attention to them. We'll see how the turn goes. So moving on to Necron turn 3. Okay, end of the Necron movement phase. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the turn, we kicked into Protocol of Undying Legions, and I went with heal an extra wound with living metal. So the Scarabs and the Triarch Stalker healed 2 instead of 1. For the movement phase, the Overlord and the Lich Guard moved up towards Calgar, hoping to engage in combat and get slay the Warlord. Then the 2 Mancers and the Warriors moved down, ready to fire shots towards the Bikers. Triarch Stalker turned around, and that's about it for movement. Reinforcement step, the Death Marks came in there, and the Flayed ones came in up there. So I'm going to try and snipe off a couple of characters, hopefully, down here. And then I'll be able to hopefully engage those sisters in combat and remove them from the objective. So here we go then with the shooting phase. Okay, end of Necron's shooting phase, and they poured everything they could into those Bikers, and it worked, it wiped them out. Harbinger of Destruction helped with 2 mortal wounds. Then plenty of Gauze shots from there, and the Warriors, and even the 2 staves went into them. But they couldn't withstand all that damage. The Death Marks put an extra wound on the Lieutenant, but haven't really done much damage. So moving on to the charge phase, it will be the Overlord into Calgar, the Lich Guard into the Assault Intercessors, and the Flayed Ones hopefully into the Battle Sisters. End of Necron turn 3, and it's not looking good for the Imperium. I've done the maths, and Necrons will be scoring the full 15 points next turn. Calgar is alive on 4 wounds. He took 4 from the Overlord, thanks to halving. Otherwise, it would have been a lot. Oh, it'd only been 2 extra wounds. He'd still be alive. Another chapter worked, but sadly I didn't get to kill another Lich Guard. I killed 1, but I only managed to do a single wound. The 2+ armor save from those shields is just insane on those guys. They don't do as much damage output as the Lich Guard of Scythes, but they are far more durable. Need to get round to building my other 5. And yeah, basically next turn Necrons are going to score, like I said, maximum points, doubling what they already have, and the Imperium are only going to be able to struggle back by gaining, well, they'll gain, actually, yeah, they'll gain 5 because they controlled that one, they controlled that one, and that's going to be about it. So they'll just get 5, pushing them up to 15. Necrons next turn will score 15. So it's going to be a Necron victory either way. So I think the Imperium are going to take their remaining losses and get out of Dodge, as they say. So sadly, we didn't manage to uncover the actual Dolmen Gate, or entrance to the tomb. But we have shown our might, I think, and the Necrons are going to need to really get into the reanimations bath in order to rejuvenate their wounds. So there we have it. I mean, it was a pretty epic duel though. Calgar interrupted because I wanted to get the Flayed Ones fight out of the way, and he's managed to put 3 wounds on the Overlord before the Overlord struck back with 4. So hopefully, though, he might go down next turn. But it doesn't score us any points killing him, because the only one who'd gain points from it would be the Overlord killing Calgar for Slay the Warlord. But yeah, I think losing the Fire Strike early on has hampered me. I could have done a little bit more damage, I think, if he'd been alive. Seeing as how we deployed 24 inches apart, I think perhaps if we had Las Talons, I could have done a lot more damage to the Triarch Stalker, instead of having the rather anti-infantry gun. I think might try the multi-melter on the Invader next time if the Triarch Stalker is taken. See if he can do. He kind of worked okay. It shredded down infantry, but against that thing, I could have done with a multi-melter on him. But it is what it is. So, with that in mind, I would like to thank you all for watching. If you think you've enjoyed this content and you think I deserve it, please give the video a like. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget as well, there's all the links and stuff in the description down below, including the Mad Merlins Patreon. And that's a wrap for issue 77. I will see you in issue 78's Battle Report, where the Overlord on Command Barge will make his battlefield debut. And I will see you next time for more mad content. Thank you again for watching, and goodbye.